Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most hotly debated topics among Assassin's Creed fans. No, not Ezio vs. Altair. We're talking about which games in the series absolutely nailed the optional content. You know, the side quests, collectibles, hidden tombs, and all that good stuff that makes you forget there's even a main story to follow. While the early Assassin's Creed games kept things tight and focused, the newer entries went big. Like, you'll need a second life to finish everything big. But let's be honest, sometimes that extra content hits just right, and sometimes it just clogs up your map with icons. So in this video, we're ranking Assassin's Creed games not by their main stories, but by how fun and engaging all the extra stuff is. We're talking variety, quality, and whether those side activities actually feel like a natural part of the world or just busy work in disguise. Whether you're the kind of player who can't resist a question mark on the map, or someone who lives for hidden gear and secret lore, this list is for you. Let's break down which games really made their worlds feel alive beyond the main narrative. Let's get into it. I'm quickly moving on to the video. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. You know what's wild? Assassin's Creed Brotherhood might just be the blueprint for how to do optional content right in an open-world game. It doesn't try to overwhelm you with 1,000 pointless side quests. Instead, everything extra you can do feels like it matters. The Assassin Recruit system, for example, it's not just a gimmick. You're actually building a brotherhood. You train your recruits, send them out on missions across Europe, and then call them in for help during combat. It's a gameplay mechanic, sure, but it also shows how Ezio is evolving. He's no longer just an assassin, he's a leader now. What's especially cool is how Brotherhood makes a single city, Rome, feel like an entire world. Even though it's smaller than modern AC maps, there's so much packed in. You've got the city renovation system, which is way more satisfying than it has any right to be. Fixing up Rome isn't just about unlocking shops. It feels like you're reviving a city that's been crushed under Borgia control. And speaking of the Borgias, liberating their towers, incredibly satisfying. There's real variety too, from faction missions to those underground Romulus lairs with their tricky parkour sections. It keeps things fresh without ever feeling bloated. Sure, Brotherhood still has a bit of that early AC obsession with collectibles, feathers and flags and all that, but the optional content as a whole, it's on another level. It's tied so tightly to Ezio's personal journey that skipping it would honestly mean missing out on a huge part of the story. And that's what makes it special. Brotherhood doesn't treat side content like a checklist. It treats it like a second layer of storytelling. And that's why, even today, it stands tall as one of the best examples of how to do optional content right in a game. You know how some Assassin's Creed games just drown you in side content that feels like a to-do list rather than actual gameplay? Yeah, Valhalla definitely caught some heat for that. But Assassin's Creed Shadows is taking a totally different route, and honestly, it's kind of refreshing. Instead of padding the map with endless errands, the game sharpens its focus right where it should be: assassinations. That's right, optional content in Shadows is built almost entirely around tracking down assassination targets. And the best part? You're not spoon-fed their locations. You get vague clues, seasonal variations, and moral dilemmas about whether or not they should be killed. It's like being thrown into a real manhunt. This new system turns exploration into a game of detective work. You're not just climbing towers and checking boxes, you're genuinely investigating, following rumors, and using new scouting mechanics to piece things together. It feels way more immersive, like you're living the assassin fantasy instead of just playing a game. And because the targets are spread across feudal Japan, which already sounds like a dream setting, every lead pulls you deeper into the world in a way that feels natural and rewarding. Now, that's not to say Shadows is skipping all the extras. There's still a solid mix of side activities and collectibles, but they actually matter. Instead of chasing random loot, you're unlocking new skills and leveling up Yasuke and Naoe in ways that make a difference in how you approach missions. There are also optional castles and fortresses you can infiltrate, and with the game's refined stealth system, those can be just as thrilling as the main quests. It feels like every bit of content is designed to feed back into your growth as an assassin. And hey, remember the settlement system from earlier games? Shadows brings it back with a twist. The hideout system is now more flexible than ever. You can actually shape your base the way you want, customizing it to match your vision for your Assassin League. Plus, you can even share your hideout with other players. It's not just a side feature anymore. It's a reflection of your journey, your playstyle, and honestly, your vibe as a player. For longtime fans who've been craving a return to what made Assassin's Creed special, Shadows might just be the game we've all been waiting for. If we're talking about Assassin's Creed games with the best optional content, then Unity absolutely needs a spot in the conversation. While its launch was, let's just say, a little rough around the edges, the game has aged like fine wine, especially when it comes to how alive its world feels. Paris isn't just big, it's dense, vertical, and dripping with atmosphere. You can literally feel the city breathing around you. Just walking across a rooftop feels exciting, like you're part of something massive. And those dynamic crowds and spontaneous street events, they really sell the fantasy that this is a living, breathing city full of stories waiting to happen. Now let's talk about the side content, because this is where Unity quietly shines. The Paris stories are more than just filler. They're genuinely fun and often bring in historical figures in clever, unexpected ways. Then you've got the murder mysteries, which feel like you're stepping into a mini detective game right in the middle of all the stabbing and sneaking. Add in the Nostradamus enigmas, riddle-based puzzles that make you feel like you're solving ancient secrets hidden in plain sight, and you've got a game that knows how to reward curiosity. It's the kind of content that actually makes exploration meaningful, not just a checklist. And remember the co-op missions? That was a bold move, and honestly, it's still one of the most missed features in newer titles. Teaming up with friends to pull off synchronized assassinations or sneak through heavily guarded palaces felt awesome. Unity may not have had naval combat or RPG stats, but it didn't need them. It focused on creating a city that felt real and packed it with handcrafted content that respected your time. If you're hunting for the Assassin's Creed game with some of the richest, most satisfying optional content, Unity deserves a serious look. You know, when we talk about Assassin's Creed games with the best optional content, Black Flag absolutely sails to the top of the list. It's not just about the story of Edward Kenway, though that alone is worth the price of admission. But what really sets this game apart is how alive and engaging its open world feels. You're not just running from one mission marker to another. You're charting your own course through a massive, sun-soaked Caribbean full of mysteries, hidden treasures, and danger on the high seas. It's the kind of game where you plan to just do one more thing and suddenly it's 3 a.m. and you're diving for loot in a shark-infested wreck. And speaking of variety, Black Flag really leans into the pirate fantasy, and that's where its optional content shines the brightest. You've got treasure maps to follow, uncharted islands to explore, deep-sea diving spots, legendary ships to battle, and forts to conquer. It's not just filler either. Everything feels purposeful and well integrated with the setting. Even things like upgrading your ship and recruiting crew members feed directly into the core gameplay loop. Unlike some of the later entries that can feel a bit bloated, here the side content feels tight, polished, and most importantly, fun. What also makes it stand out is how well the optional missions are designed. Sure, you've got your standard assassination contracts and Templar hunts, but there's also a good mix of weird, wild, and memorable moments tucked into the side content. It never feels like you're grinding through a checklist. Instead, it feels like you're living the life of a pirate, complete with the freedom to pick your own path. That sense of adventure, paired with thoughtful design, is why Black Flag is still so beloved by fans, and a top-tier pick when it comes to optional content in the Assassin's Creed series. When it comes to Assassin's Creed games packed with great optional content, Origins deserves a solid shout-out. This was the title where Ubisoft first leaned into RPG elements, and while it didn't go full choose your destiny like later games, it nailed something arguably more important: world building through side quests. Inspired by The Witcher 3, the side missions here aren't just fetch quests or filler, they're loaded with narrative. You'll stumble into a grieving widow's story, or a village's mysterious curse, and next thing you know, you're fully invested. These aren't just distractions, they feel like mini chapters of Bayek's journey. One of the absolute highlights has to be exploring the ancient tombs and the iconic pyramids. Seriously, who doesn't want to sneak through a pharaoh's resting place? These moments are less about combat and more about discovery, and they add so much to the atmosphere. Then, of course, there are the Trial of the Gods events, going up against Anubis or Sobek in massive mythological boss fights. That's the kind of optional content that sticks with you. It's big, it's bold, and it really leans into the mythos of ancient Egypt in a way that feels just right for the setting. And just when you think you've seen it all, Origins throws in gladiator arenas and chariot races. These aren't must-do activities, but man, are they fun. Taking Bayek into the pit, fighting for glory, or racing across dusty tracks with crowds cheering. It's pure spectacle. Unlike later entries like Odyssey or Valhalla, which can feel overwhelming with content, Origins strikes a sweet spot. It gives you plenty to do, but never so much that you burn out. The optional content here isn't just padding. It's an essential part of what makes the game memorable. When it comes to optional content in Assassin's Creed games, Odyssey just goes all out. I mean, this game doesn't just give you side quests. It throws a whole second game at you if you're willing to explore. Ancient Greece is absolutely buzzing with life, and it's not just for show. Every island you visit feels like a mini adventure of its own, packed with quirky characters, surprising stories, and the kind of odd jobs that make you forget there's even a main storyline waiting. Seriously, one minute you're chasing cultists, the next you're helping a philosopher settle a goat dispute. It's wild, and weirdly addicting. What really sets Odyssey apart, though, is how it handles freedom. You're not just running errands, you're shaping the world around you. The Peloponnesian War system lets you flip regions from Spartan to Athenian control and back again. And you're right there in the middle of it, leading the charge in massive battles. It never feels like busy work. There's always a sense that what you're doing matters, even if you're just siding with the highest bidder as a mercenary. It's a clever way of making optional content feel just as impactful as the main quest line. And let's not forget the sea. If you ever missed the thrill of open water from Black Flag, Odyssey brings it back in a big way. Your ship is your second home. You upgrade it, recruit your crew, and head out into naval battles that, sure, lean a bit arcadey, but totally capture that piratey sense of adventure. You're out there dodging arrows, ramming enemy ships, and singing sea shanties like it's nobody's business. It's one of the best ways to kill time between missions. Or ignore them completely, because why not? Plus, Odyssey takes its RPG vibes seriously. The branching dialogues don't just give you flavor, they change how quests unfold. Romance? Sure. Betrayal? Definitely. Comedy? More often than you'd expect. It's this playful tone that makes all the extra stuff feel like more than just side content. It's a huge world full of stories, and the game genuinely wants you to get lost in them. If we're talking about Assassin's Creed games with the best optional content, Odyssey doesn't just make the list, it practically defines it. If we're talking about Assassin's Creed games with the best optional content, then Valhalla absolutely demands a spot at the top of the list. It might not feel like a classic Assassin's Creed title, but that's kind of the point. Valhalla goes full Viking RPG, with sprawling landscapes, mythological realms, and more side content than you could realistically finish in a single playthrough. From the moment you step into Eivor's boots, the game throws an overwhelming buffet of things to do, most of which you can take or leave depending on your vibe. One of the biggest things that sets Valhalla apart is just how much post-launch support it got. Ubisoft really went all in here. We're talking 3 chunky expansions, including Dawn of Ragnarok, plus smaller but super replayable additions like the roguelike Forgotten Saga mode. And for anyone who just wants to live out the Viking fantasy, the river raids are a solid way to gather loot while burning down enemy settlements with your crew. It's chaotic, a little repetitive, but let's be honest, kind of addictive. And then there are the side activities. Valhalla didn't just sprinkle in a few mini-games, it went full open-world checklist mode. There's fishing, dice games like Orlog, tomb raiding, timed mercenary contracts, and a ton of world events that often play out like short, quirky stories. And let's not forget settlement building. Watching your home base grow as you invest in it actually feels rewarding, like you're shaping your own little Viking community. Oh, and if you ever get tired of 9th century England, Valhalla hands you the keys to literal mythological realms. Asgard, Jotunheim, and Svartalfheim are not only visually stunning, but also packed with legendary creatures to fight and lore to uncover. It's a bold direction for the series for sure, and yeah, it might not be everyone's cup of mead, but if you're looking for a game that lets you pick and choose how you spend your time, Valhalla is a beast. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.